Okay. Have you ever had one of those moments where you just want the floor to open up and swallow you whole?
Oh, absolutely. Like when you're at a family gathering and things get a little too interesting.
Exactly. Like you just want to poof, disappear. Well, that's kind of what happened to this woman. And her story blew up on Reddit, the Am I the A-hole subreddit.
Oh, that's a classic. You know there's going to be drama.
Always. And listen, this one's full of it. It's got everything. A major mama's boy situation, internet outrage, and it even touches on a little psychology. So,
Oh, very cool. Sign me up.
right. So basically buckle up because we're diving deep into this Reddit post today.
I'm ready. Let's hear it.
All right. So picture this. Our Reddit poster, let's just call her OP, is so excited for this 2-week vacation, right? She planned it all out, saved up, the whole 9 yards.
Sounds lovely so far.
Right. It was supposed to be this romantic getaway, just her and her husband. But plot twist. Her mother-in-law, the MIL, had other ideas.
Oh, no. This is where it starts to get good.
Oh, it gets wild. We're talking major tantrums because she wasn't invited, even threatening to call the cops with, like, made-up accusations.
Wow, some people really have no boundaries.
Seriously. And you'd think the husband would be like, hey, Mom, this is our trip, right?
Yeah, put his foot down.
Well, at first he's all, yeah, honey, you're right. I'll tell her she can't come. But then, get this, he secretly books a ticket for her anyway.
No way! Talk about a betrayal! I bet the internet had a field day with that one.
Oh, you better believe it.
Yeah.
The comment section was on fire. Everyone's calling him out for being a total mama's boy, saying he chose his mommy over his wife.
Yeah, that's not a good look.
Not at all. So, fast forward to the airport. They're all ready for the romantic vacation, right? And bam! There's the MIL, luggage in tow. Like, she owns the place.
Oh my god, I can just imagine the look on OP's face.
Total shock and horror. I mean, what would you do in that situation?
Honestly, I don't even know. Maybe faint?
Right. But OP, she's a warrior. She just nopes right out of there, leaves them both at the airport, and goes home.
Good for her. That takes guts.
Seriously. And, of course, the husband follows her home, but not to apologize or anything. No, he's yelling at her for ruining the trip.
Oh, that's classic gaslighting, trying to make her feel like she's the one in the wrong.
Exactly. But the internet was having none of it. The Reddit community was like her personal cheering section. Everyone saying, not the a-hole, loud and clear.
That's gotta feel good, having all that support.
Absolutely. But wait, there's more. Some of her own family members were telling her she should just gone on the trip anyway.
What? Seriously, that's like adding insult to injury.
I know, like, hey, your husband just betrayed you, but enjoy your vacation. Makes no sense.
Sounds like they might be falling for the sunk cost fallacy. You know, the idea that you have to stick with something because you've already invested so much.
Yeah, like when you keep wearing those shoes that give you blisters because you spent so much money on them.
Exactly. But this situation is a little more serious than some uncomfortable shoes.
For sure. So the big question is, was she the a-hole for walking out? I think we already know the answer, but I'm really curious to dig a little deeper into this whole mama's boy thing.
Yeah, me too. Like, what makes a mother-in-law act this way? Is it a control thing? Insecurity?
All good questions. And what about the husband? Why is he so afraid to stand up to his mom?
Definitely some deep-seated psychological stuff going on there. We'll have to unpack all that and see what the commenters had to say about it all.
Well, the comments were a whirlwind, let me tell you. People had a lot of advice for OP. Some were like, girl, lay down the law, tell your husband to shape up or ship out.
Right. A lot of tough love going on in those comments, and some were even saying therapy or divorce, no in between.
Yeah, the Reddit crowd can be pretty intense, but I think it shows how seriously people take this kind of betrayal, violating trust in a marriage like that.
Yeah, it's a big deal, for sure. But amidst all that serious advice, there were some pretty funny comments, too. A lot of people were like, hey, girl, take the vacation yourself. Oh, yeah, the treat yourself camp. I love those people. Turning lemons into lemonade,
Exactly. Imagine it. She's sipping cocktails on a beach, living her best life, while her husband and I are stuck back home, probably arguing about something ridiculous.
That's a pretty satisfying image, gotta admit.
It is. But let's be real. Taking a solo trip in that situation, it's not for everyone, right?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Changing flights last minute, dealing with non-refundable bookings, and navigating a foreign country all alone on top of all the emotional stress, it's a lot.
Way too much to handle for most people. Plus, trying to relax and enjoy yourself while knowing your husband chose his mom over you, yeah, that's going to be tough.
Totally agree. We all cope with betrayal in different ways, and what might be empowering for one person could be really damaging for another. It's important to remember that.
So true. And let's not forget about the whole gaslighting thing. That's a serious issue that we can't just ignore.
Absolutely. Remember how the husband tried to twist things around, making her feel like she was overreacting? That's classic gaslighting, and it's a form of emotional manipulation that can have some seriously damaging long-term effects.
Like it makes you question your own reality, your sanity even, right?
Exactly. It erodes your self-confidence and your ability to trust your own judgment. It's scary stuff.
For sure. So what should someone do if they find themselves in that kind of situation, being gaslighted by their partner?
Well, first and foremost, remember that your feelings are valid, period. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And if your partner is constantly making you question yourself, your sanity, your perceptions, that's a huge red flag.
Yeah, trust your gut, right? If something feels off, it probably is.
You got it. And don't be afraid to reach out for help, talk to a therapist, a trusted friend, or find a support group. Having that outside perspective and someone to validate your experience, that can be so empowering.
Support is everything in those situations. Sometimes just having someone listen to you and believe you can make all the difference. But going back to our Reddit story, what about the people who were saying she should have gone on the trip anyway? That's tough, right?
It is. It all comes back to the sunk cost fallacy, that idea that we're so attached to something, whether it's a vacation, a relationship, even a job, that we ignore the red flags and put up with bad behavior, all because we don't want to admit we made a mistake.
It's like reading a terrible book all the way to the end just because you've already started it.
Exactly. But sometimes cutting our losses is actually the bravest, most self-respecting thing we can do.
Okay, that's some deep wisdom right there. So how can our listeners avoid falling into that sunk cost trap in their own lives?
It takes conscious effort and being honest with yourself. We need to ask ourselves, am I staying in this because it's truly good for me, or am I just terrified of admitting I messed up?
It's about being willing to walk away from something that's no longer working, even if it's painful in the moment.
Yeah. And remember, sometimes the best things, the most growth and happiness, they come from letting go of what's not serving us anymore.
That's a good reminder. Okay, but let's get back to those hilarious Reddit comments for a second. I swear some people on Reddit are so quick-witted. One commenter even said OP should start a blog called My Mother-in-Law Ruins My Vacation,
Yeah.
like a whole
Sure.
series documenting all the MIL's crazy antics.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I would totally read that. But jokes aside, it's clear this whole story really struck a nerve with a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like it tapped into this universal anxiety about family dynamics and boundaries and all that.
Right. Everyone's got at least one family member who drives them up the wall.
Oh yeah, it's like every family's got their own little soap opera going on.
Totally.
Yeah.
And when you throw in a manipulative partner, things get really messy really fast.
Absolutely. This story is like a huge wake-up call about how important it is to choose a partner who actually respects you, who respects your boundaries.
Yeah, someone who's willing to stand up for you, even if it means going against their own family.
Exactly. Because if your partner isn't on your team, well, good luck with that.
Yeah, you're kind of doomed from the start. So, to all our listeners out there, listen up. You deserve a partner who's got your back 100%, someone who supports you and is willing to put your needs on par with their families at least.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And if you're in a situation where your partner's always putting their family first to the point where it's hurting you, well, it might be time for a serious conversation.
Yeah, and maybe even bring in a professional, like a therapist.
Oh, for sure. Therapy can be a lifesaver, especially when it comes to those tricky family dynamics. It gives you a safe space to really unpack everything and work through those tough emotions.
And they can help you figure out some healthier ways to cope with everything,
Well,
too.
And don't forget, you're not alone in this, okay? There are so many resources out there for people who are dealing with similar situations, like support groups, online forums, even books and podcasts. There's a ton of stuff out there that can help.
Absolutely. And hey, sometimes just knowing you're not the only one going through it, that can make a world of difference.
So true.
Wow, this deep dive has been quite a ride. We've laughed, we've gasped, and I think we've all learned a thing or two about mama's boys, gaslighting, and setting those all-important boundaries.
Yeah, this has been a fascinating look at how people behave, especially within families, and how complicated things can get.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We hope you enjoyed it. And remember, dear listener, you don't have to put up with anyone's nonsense, especially when it comes to your own happiness.
Absolutely. Put yourself first, communicate what you need, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
And if you're ever feeling really overwhelmed, book yourself that solo vacation and just get away from it all. Who knows, maybe you'll even inspire a viral Reddit post of your own.
Huh. Now that would be something.
But until then, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay true to yourselves. We'll be back next time with another deep dive into the wild and wacky world of human behavior. See ya then.